Hey everyone, welcome back to Bren's Garage. We are going to do a walk around video, catch up video for the Old Blue Willys project. So this 1950 CJ3A was a vehicle that was built by me for a customer, or is being built. This was brought in as a commission to build project. I know some of you have been asking if this is mine. I wish it was mine. It is not. So this is being built for a customer. That's probably one of the reasons why I didn't really do a big build thread on it. Um, that takes a lot of time. And so, stopping and photographing and all those things. So this was basically started after the forums kind of tapered off, and Facebook and Instagram were the big places to share this kind of thing. And now YouTube is. So I'm going to start sharing this on YouTube. So I have to get you guys caught up on what we've done with this, or what I've done with this. This was a complete build from literally the frame up. So we'll get into that more, but there's not very much left of the original, and there wasn't very much left of the original when I got it. So this vehicle has been very, very heavily modified along the lines of what I did with my old Rango build about a decade ago. So this is a very low, wide, big tired, high clearance build, and I think that works the best on these short wheelbase flat fenders. I think that works great on a lot of vehicles, but that's where we ended up. So let's take a tour through this thing. I'm just going to start with the front and take you guys along. Let me get the hood up here. I even have one of these pointy sticks now with a finger, and that's the first finger. Don't get too carried away. But so this has a GM 4.3 V6 in it. I think that's a very good size for these vehicles. This one is I believe, early 2000s, 2001, 2002. I believe it came out of a pickup. It is fuel injected with the, I would call the later model version of the central port injection. Typically, these have the throttle body that points here straight up, and they can cause some hood clearance issues, especially when building like I do with the powertrain tucked up in the chassis. So I designed this relocation elbow and to move the throttle body to this side and create much more clearance over the top of the engine to let the engine be higher in the chassis. Other than that, it's pretty normal install. This one does have headers, has a 22 wide by 19 tall radiator, mechanical fan. All that is all custom mounts and installs. These are my custom shock towers that also have a brace, which has a radiator mount. This one is getting boosted brakes and actually a hydraulic master cylinder for the clutch also. That's tucked down in here below the brake booster. This brake booster and pedal assembly is based off of a Ford Ranger, in case anybody's wanting to try that. It's a pretty good fit in these, especially with the engine being high. I still have good clearance here because the pedal has been moved over and the clutch master cylinder is tucked under the booster. That comes through, though slightly right there. I will have to make some, if you guys can see that very well on the camera, but the booster just needs a little, or the booster comes through here and we'll get a little bit of covering, and the clutch master still has a little bit to do here with some covering, but overall a pretty good fit. This one has in it, just does not have a shift cane on it, but it has an SM420 4-speed manual, and then that is followed by a Dana 20 transfer case that will be getting Terralo 315 gears in it. The owner was able to buy a set of those before they went out of production, so that will make for a very nice setup. Underneath, you can see I built this custom frame. Let's see if I can get you guys a good angle on this. And it is, everything is totally mounted up flush with the bottom of the frame. This frame is slightly taller than the stock frame. Stock frame is about 4.5 inches tall. This one is 6 inches tall, but it allows me to eventually put on a very smooth belly pan, and then both of the spring hangers are Frenched into the chassis for a smooth transition off the leaf springs. And this still also has very decent clearance underneath we are at 19 inches of belly clearance, I believe. So yeah, that's a +3 tape measure, just over 16 and a bit. So a little bit of loss with the skid plate still, but overall pretty good clearance for something that sits this low. This is only an inch or two taller than a stock flat fender, even with the 37-inch tires. And that is because I went through a lot of trouble to close this, show you what's going on. Oh, this might require more hands than I have. So on these builds, I raise the fenders up to the corner of the grill. Stock is down here somewhere, and that creates about an extra 3 inches of clearance for the tire. On the back, let's see if I can get you guys without a whole bunch of shine. So the wheel opening has been significantly opened up to accommodate the 37-inch tire. This tub has not been stretched, though the wheelbase has been slightly altered. The rear axle is about 2.25 to 2.5 inches back from stock, but the overall length of the tub is still the same. The entire interior of the tub has been redone with custom new metal, including raised rear fender tubs, new rear floor, heavy work to the front of the wheel tubs to accommodate the seats being moved back, along with the notch in the floor step to allow the seats to be moved back an additional 3 inches. So what this does is it creates a very spacious cab space. It's a flat fender, mind you, but the owner is over 6 feet tall and fits very comfortably in this. I also, on the side of increased driver comfort, the step in the floor has been pushed forward significantly to accommodate and make a deeper pedal box. This adds about 3 to 4 inches of extra foot room, again, without making the tub any longer. So essentially what we've done is created about 7 inches more room for the driver. The seats are lowered almost nearly onto the floor and reclined back slightly. This gets the driver lower overall and allows a shorter windshield frame. This one has a CJ3B windshield frame, which is about 4 inches shorter. So overall, we really don't have much more height than a stock Jeep by making all those changes. This does still have about 5 inches of up travel from ride height, which is about where I generally want to be with a 10-inch travel shock. These are some of my custom Deaver springs. So let's see if I can get a slightly better view of the stance of this. You can see Rango in the background is very, very similar. Rango's actually slightly taller at the windshield and the overall cage on the Old Blue Willys is very, very similar in height. I did slope it up into the back slightly because the driver is a little bit taller and it gives it a little bit more of that sporty rake and helps make it look a little more less square, if you will. So that pretty much covers the overall layout. This one has so as far as drivetrain goes, 4.3 SM420 Dana 20. This has a custom Dana 44 front axle that started out as a wide track, full-size Jeep, Dana 44, still spring under, but then the long side was narrowed to make the spring centers the same as an early Jeep. So that's about 4.5 inches off the long side axle tube. And that gives us an axle about 59.5 to 60 inches wide, depending on what wheel ends you use. This still has a modified internal hub system, 6 on 5.5 lug pattern. And then the rear axle is a custom full float Dana 44 built by me, I guess, and Curry Enterprises. They provided the center section and the axle tubes. It has my full float end cups that allows us to use basically the same components as the front axle as far as spindle, bearing hub, and even brakes if you wanted to. This one is getting basically a version of my electric e-brake kit that uses a Ford caliper, but a 6 on 5.5 rotor. This is a little different than my standard system, but this has 17-inch wheels, so I can accommodate a larger system on this one. You can see how tucked up in the belly is, and the cross member that supports everything. Everything is side mounted. There won't be any hardware on the bottom of the frame rail to get hung up on. What else can I tell you about this thing? The cage is all by me, 1.5 inch DOM tubing. Very tight. Oh, somebody did ask how this is going to be done. So on flat fenders, they have a very small door opening. If you put a traditional down tube here, it is very difficult to get your foot out in this space. So what I'm doing on this one is the cage ties into a plate that is bolted to the dash, which goes through to a second plate. You can see there that wraps under, if you can see that. And then there will be an A-pillar tube that ties in from here to this plate on the floor and will be tucked into this pocket in the factory cowl support. And then there will be an outrigger on the bottom of the frame from this, or an outrigger on the bottom of the tub from here to the frame. And that will be similar to what we did in the back. So you can see how all that ties down into the frame there. This ties in up at the top. And then there is a large outrigger, sorry, that's in the shadow, large outrigger here that is back to the frame. So when this is done, this will have a 6-point frame mounted cage. The only difference is there is a junction here for helping get your foot out between the seat and the firewall, or seat and the dash, if you will. I think that's about everything, guys. Thanks for following along. This has been a project that I've had going for a couple years. I I don't do this full time yet. I'm a mechanical engineer by day, so I have a day job, and sometimes that keeps me rather busy, and I don't get to work on this quite as much as I'd like to, but hopefully we're trying to find a way around that now to do more work on this thing, get it out of there. If you've been following along, we've done the fuel tank lately. That's one of the last big fab projects left on this. This will have to get broken down for paint. I won't be doing that part, but it will be getting broken down for paint, and then we'll put it back together. We still have to do all the wiring and the plumbing. You can see a little bit how I'm 5. Let's see if we can get this. I'm about 5'9", 5'10", and you can see how high the cage is. So very low overall profile. But anyways, so thanks for following along. I will be, as long as these YouTube videos keep taking off and doing well, which they seem to be doing okay, I will be doing these updates on Old Blue Willys here. I will still be posting on Facebook and Instagram to kind of lure you in and just give people something to look at, answer questions in more than one place. But if you have any questions, definitely drop a comment below. I'm trying to answer every single comment that's on the page so far. And make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. I will be releasing videos, at least for the near future, quite often, to try and build the channel up a little bit and let you guys follow along with this crazy project I have going called the Old Blue Willys. Thanks for following along, everybody.